rapid action learning is what it says. It's rapid, and that means that it's timely, and it's learning fairly obviously because it's finding out new things or sharing new things. And it's relevant and actionable, which means that it generates information or insights which have relevance for policy and practice.
It's also probably important to note that it emerged during the Swachh Bharat mission, which was a very large-scale sanitation campaign in India, a country of over 1 billion people, were kind of working out what was going on in this vast subcontinent and trying to adapt the campaign accordingly based on the realities of the ground. So it's very much linked to ways we could strengthen a very large-scale campaign.
And they needed to learn what was happening on the ground really quickly. They didn't want to find out in 2 years' time what was happening. The time frame for the whole campaign was so tight that there was a real need for innovating ways of learning on a large scale really quickly.
And then, of course, spreading those lessons learned across different districts and states.
How can we look at some of the nuances through nuances of the sanitation initiatives through participatory research processes, rather than doing a rapid survey or something which the survey related methodological challenges are there, which stops people from opening up and then giving us the exact reasons and realities at the ground level. So how can we find a way for looking at behavioral issues? How can we look at some of the best behavioral practices at the village level, where the policies are actually translating into action?
Well, I guess being in touch and up to date with those field realities and identifying what works, what does not. I mean, that is that's the linchpin really of the RAL approaches.
The timeliness is really, really critical. And that's what distinguishes this from many other approaches to research or to learning about what is really happening. I remember very well when researchers who'd been funded for research programs, rural research programs, which were relevant to the national program, they said, well, we should be able to give you some results in a couple of years' time. And the secretary, who was responsible for this very pressurized program, in which they'd set themselves very, very tough targets, he said, he was really angry. He said, I don't want to know in 2 years' time, or even 1 year's time. He said, I want to know now. And they really didn't have much of a reply. We tried to give some reply with this approach.
Which remains relevant for the whole sector with the SDGs and the target of 2030. Time is of the essence. There's still a huge amount of work to do.
I think one of the advantages is that they're rather good fun. I know that's not a conventional thing to say, but generally speaking, you find that people find them very interesting and enjoyable. And in some contexts, when they meet peers, they get a lot of pleasure out of some of them, out of meeting peers and exchanging ideas. But also there's the excitement of being in touch and up to date. And quite a lot of ahas are involved in this, because you learn things when you're right up to date, which you otherwise would have missed. And it's also very different from having a plan for research, which you then follow, as with randomized controlled trials, for instance, which is a rather extreme case, which you have to plod your way through diligently, and you're committed to a direction once you've started. Not like that at all. The commitment is really, really short term, and a commitment also to feed back what's been learned to people who can take some action.